Alright you guys, this is for the lab all cracked up, and this is video E3.2-3. You first need to take a moment to read the background here. Well, actually we're going to be looking at the structuring or layers of Earth, and we're going to be sort of analyzing some models as we do this. Some models of Earth's interior. So please read through this section for models, and notice the objective. Use models to understand some of Earth's interior features and evaluate the realism of various models. In other words, how good are these models? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? After you read that, go ahead and brush up on some of Earth's structure here, including the vocabulary section. And then we'll get to the procedure here. Okay, so take a moment to go ahead and read that stuff, and then we'll catch up at the procedure. Alright you guys, now that you've read that top portion, we should be looking at the procedure here. And you'll see that in this first portion, I'm going to do a little demonstration with a hard-boiled egg. Please kind of look at those diagrams. And then in number 2 down there at the bottom, you're going to be looking at some different models that I've provided. You will be recording this information, and it says in BLM 4.1, that is this data table here, and you'll see that we'll have some models here. You will record what my models are after I do this egg thing, and then you'll be talking about some strengths and weaknesses of each of the models. We kind of want to assess, are these models good representations of what we're really trying to talk about, which is the layers of Earth, or not? Okay, some things you need to understand before we go ahead and get started here. First off, Earth's interior has several layers. They differ in their chemical and physical properties. Earth's outer layer, the lithosphere, is broken into smaller pieces called plates or tectonic plates. These plates move independently of each other. They're all moving sort of in their own direction, and their movements and interactions produce the geologic features and events that we see and experience on Earth. Models are useful, but they have strengths and weaknesses, and we have to be aware of that. So, let me... Alright you guys, continue with the video, what are we on? E3.2-3 with our lab here. I have a hard-boiled egg here, made it myself. And it asks us to sort of peek at this and say, man, if we're going to break this or tap this on a hard surface, I'm going to tap it here on the table, what's going to happen? Well, you're probably saying, well, duh, Mr. Fusak, it's going to break. Well, of course it will, because the shell is brittle. The shell is brittle. Okay, and so is our lithosphere. So brittle things, they don't bend, they crack. They break apart, just like our tectonic plates. All right? So now we want to sort of break this up and take a peek at what happened. So I have here one that I've already broken up, and I don't know if you can see the cracks in there. Got a little egg on there maybe. Alright, I outlined all these cracks with a permanent marker to sort of represent, ta-da, you guessed it, the tectonic plates. Okay? So we have our Earth here with all these cracks on, we'll call it the lithosphere or the shell of this egg, and representing the different tectonic plates. Alright, so now I'm going to cut this sucker in half so we can take a peek at the cross section, the inside of this hard-boiled egg. At least I hope it's hard-boiled. Alright, so here we go. I'll bring it right up here in front of you. Ooh. What we can see are a few things. We see the shell here, it's kind of cracked there, very brittle, very thin. Then the white of the egg would represent the mantle, the shell is the crust. Then the yellow would be the outer core, and what I've drawn in with the permanent marker would be the inner core. Okay, so this I think pretty well represents crust, mantle, outer core, inner core. Alright. Take a look at the different sizes. Now we see that on this side over here, it's a little thinner. The yolk must have been moving in there, floating a little bit when it hardened. So that would be a weakness. It's not perfect. Okay. There's the side of it. You can see that brittle shell or crust, and that's actually pretty proportional to the size of the crust in comparison to the mantle and rest of the interior of Earth. Could I also look at this though, and instead of crust, mantle, outer core, inner core, think of it as lithosphere and then asthenosphere? Okay, could or something like that. I don't know. Could we get lithosphere, asthenosphere out of that? The physical layers? I don't know. You tell me. Maybe this is a weakness of it. Okay. Maybe you can look at this and say, yeah, I think we can find a part that could represent the lithosphere and asthenosphere. Okay. What we're going to do next is look at some different models here, some different things that I've come up with just around the house here that could, or maybe they don't very well represent our model of the interior of Earth. Okay, so get ready on your sheet. Pause this if you have to write down some more of those strengths and weaknesses for the egg. Okay? First one is an apple. Alright? An apple. Alright, think about the apple. Write this down. It's the first model. And think about the interior of an apple. We probably have the skin, we have the part we would eat, but then we also have the part we don't eat, or most people don't eat. I've seen people eat it, but the core of the apple. So, magic, cut it in half. So now as I look at this, see if I can get the light just right here for you, while I can still see it. Okay, so we have, maybe I can do it like this. I have the skin of the apple. You can barely see that on the edges. Then I have sort of the meat of it, the part we'd eat. And you can also see in here, this area here, the outline. Could that represent an outer core? And this portion, the inner core? I don't know, it's up to you. You tell me. Alright, so pause this if you need to continue to take a peek at that. Or we'll move on. Earthquake. Alright, next one we have is, mix it up here, a flower. Is that a daisy? I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a daisy. It's a decoration. Alright, so as we're looking at this here, could this, or part of it, represent the interior layers of the Earth? Pause it if you need to. Write strengths, weaknesses. Be thorough. Try to come up with several for each. Alright, next one. Have an orange. An orange. Okay, so again we're going to have a skin, we know that. Could this represent the interior of the Earth? What are strengths? What are weaknesses? Try to come up with some of both. Pause if you need to. Last one over here. CD. I'll put my finger through it to hold it here. So we have the CD here. As you look at this, could we somehow come up with anything on this CD that would represent the layers of the Earth? I know this is more of a two-dimensional model, but maybe that's one of the weaknesses, is that it's not three-dimensional. Okay? But go ahead and think about this sucker. Pause if you need to. With that, go back and check out whatever you need to, but make sure you fill that in and then answer the questions at the end about the strengths and weaknesses of these models.